I shot to the chair. What?
I make a motion to approve the minutes. I'll second.
First and second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? GC1, we have a resolution fixing time and place for a public hearing relative to Phillips County, Oswego, local law number 3, the year 2023, entitled on local law amending local law number 2 of 2021 as concerns to residents and requirements for assistance offenders.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Have a first and second. Any discussion on that? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next up, we have a resolution authorizing reclassification of one position of real property tax officer. Information in your packet goes from typist grade 3 in the office.
To make a motion, we open this up for discussion.
I'll second that.
9. Take a first and second discussion.
It's really just I don't need a typist down there. I kind of looked at what we needed, and it's not just a data entry person. I need somebody who can do more complex work, because there's still a lot of things that I'm still doing that I basically brought over with me after becoming appointed director. So there's more things I need to offload, and having somebody that's a higher grade will allow me to do that.
Is this budget neutral?
It basically is. So there's an increase next year, but there's a savings this year from having it be a vacant position. So there is going to be a slight cost increase next year because of the higher, pay and everything. But it has remained vacant up until this point. So.
Any other discussion?
Just curious how you chose the grade 9.
That's
what
the
responsibilities is this person going to do?
So the database system that we use down there, that all the assessors use, and all of that work. It's a pretty complex computer system, and the typist position is really just somebody who inputs data. But I need somebody who can pull reports out and who can coordinate with the schools and the towns on tax collection and things like that, and to coordinate with all the assessors on their data collection programs and their reassessments and all of those types of things. I have a staff member already doing that, but he's only one guy, so having 2 people would be a huge benefit.
So the workload's increased?
Yeah. We've been getting more and more state mandates of, now you have to do this and now you have to do that. And the most recent one was that huge mailing that we had to do at the beginning of the year. So things like that take a lot of coordination time and effort. So.
Yes.
I won't speak for Corey, but in my experience, when you're trying to figure out what to call somebody, what grade it should be, HR really is very helpful. You tell them, these are the things I need to have done and the kind of skills that I need, and they sort through all the titles and grades and say, that probably fits here. Typically, the department head isn't making that decision by themselves when they choose a grade or a title.
Yeah. And what we're actually doing is there's somebody in my office now I can promote into that position, but I'm going to promote it at a grade 8, which is the real property data coordinator trainee. And then that way they can have it's a year of training with the current data coordinator so that she can get up to speed.
And that's a good question. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Any other resolution? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, next up, resolution 3 is resolution approving and confirming the sale and transfer of certain foreclosed tax properties. We have a list in our book. It's actually be amended, but we have a new list was passed out. We asked you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you got a new list. It has 2 properties. I just received another one this morning, so probably before the next meeting we'll probably have some more. So based on they filed bankruptcy and all that stuff, so. It's about a third less than last year. Or 2/3 less? Yeah. 2/3. About a third from last year. So last year we just had an enormous amount of buybacks. We tightened it up again. We're still getting them because it's bankruptcy.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
First and second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
One over. One over.
Okay. Resolution number 4, resolution approving and confirming the sale and transfer of certain foreclosed tax properties to the city of Oswego pursuant to RPTL 1166. We have a list of what's in there.
Make a motion, we open this up for discussion.
And first.
Second.
And second for discussion. Kevin, do these places have houses on them?
Yeah. And it's one of those things I think we did 3-4 years ago. We started because the property values, we put them at auction, you get $1,000. And guess who would buy it? People that may want to flip them or just leave them. So the city came to us and asked about if we would, the legislature would do that. You know, let them buy it for the taxes out. And it just made sense back then.
Right.
I think going into, obviously with this foreclosure, who knows what's going to make sense next year.
Right.
But right now, at least, and it's all based on, a lot of it has to do with the legislators within the city, like Legislator Scanlon, where they can control the property's destiny, where I do not pick and choose what the city does.
And these are for the 2 years, these are taxes.
Yeah.
And some of the taxes are not even $1,000.
Right.
So this makes us whole, there's no water, sewer, or anything else?
It pays what's owed down, correct? And, again, I get bills for mowing the lawn, I don't pay them either, so. It's not something.
The city picks those up.
Yeah. So, makes it whole.
I'll make a motion.
Yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next up, we have a resolution authorizing the purchase of 2 automobiles for the public defender's office. Comes in amount of $64,707.50.
I make a motion, we open this for discussion.
Second. First and second for discussion. Add to this.
State bid, right?
Pardon?
On state bid, or
Was it state bid?
it's gonna be done on state bid?
Either we would have to purchase either through state bid or bid them ourselves.
Okay.
Does this come out of the state funding?
Yes, it should.
So there's no cost to the county?
And make the motion to approve it.
Okay.
I'll second.
First and second. Any other discussion? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next up we have a resolution for the reclassification of 1 position and deletion of 1 position in the public defender's office.
Motion to discuss.
First, one for second.
Second.
First and second. Amount of pay is going to be $85,954.
So, I don't know if it's best here to explain this, this is all
I don't
new
know.
to the public.
Jennifer's calling, and should be here. Get Jennifer's calling and reminding him that today is his committee.
The positions approved in the budget were placeholder positions, so I think the public defender is wishing to change
Yeah.
some of those to suit his needs.
That's correct. All the positions we put into the budget were sort of a mirror of the DA, with the understanding once we had a public defender on board and evaluated all the needs that we could change those around with committee and legislative approval. To meet the needs of the city.
So
But
that's
we
why
expected, there would be some requests to change titles, but it's all within the original budget.
It looks like you just want to change the titles to a paralegal before you go right out.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
So there's no one in this position right now, is that correct? How many people are actually in this department right now?
I think he's been able to hire 4.
Oh, okay.
And just to correct, the paralegal does not make 85,000. That's the next thing on the agenda where it's approving the salary for one of the assistant public defenders in the rest actually.
The paralegal is for the 2496.
About 45,000.
Is that the end?
No.
So there any open discussion on this?
I'd be a motion that we were going to present this to Polish.
It goes to finance and personnel. No personal changes.
All right, so we have a first and second, I got a discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Next up,
So we're just finished out our, we're always, so June, we're tallying up for May, so we're always a month behind on our financials. So I just want to update everybody on the first quarter of what we have. We're seeing the county clerk's office is down slightly, county clerk's the filing portion of it. Just with mortgage rates being as high as they are, we're not going to see those windfalls that we saw the last couple of years. But motor vehicles holding its own, about steady on that. One thing, just let you know, we're not going to see the huge push in the pistols this year, unless for some strange reason Albany does something strange this week, which we don't foresee that happening. One thing that Albany is looking at right now is what they call the Clean Slate Act, which is sealing these criminal records. I started looking at that because, well, they've been looking at it for the last 3-4 years. So I started looking at what the cost is going to be, and there might be a slight cost, so it's probably not as significant as there are in other counties. The good thing for us is we have a system that we can easily go in and seal documents if we have to, but we got to follow that pretty close just to see exactly what the bill language is going to be. Other than that, June 14th, we are doing the dedication of the motor vehicle office in the record center to George Williams' memory. So you all are welcome. That's 4 o'clock on Wednesday, June 14th, Flag Day. We'd love to have you there. It'd be a nice little ceremony. Are there any questions for anybody on motor vehicles or clerk's office?
I had a constituent approach me on his, just for permit, certification. The certification heading was NRA or something. I don't have a copy of it. But the instructor is on our hand safety course. And this constituent was asked to attend a brief hearing with the judge. Right
So,
around.
yeah, that's something new that's came about. Anybody who filed an application after September 1st, part of the rules were an interview with the judge. There is a little bit of, I don't want to say discrepancy, but there's a question on how that hearing is supposed to happen.
Didn't have a good.
Part of the judiciary feels that my staff and I, being an officer of the court, that's an interview, and that's good enough when you're handing it in. And there's another part of the judiciary that feels that you have to schedule a hearing and have them come in front of the judge. I'm having a meeting, I believe it's next week, with some of the members of the judiciary. So we're going to change judges here soon to go for the last 6 months of the year. It'll be under another judge, the judge that's currently hearing them. So it's kind of up in the air right now, and we don't have a lot of guidance on that out of the state, but they are saying that it needs to have some sort of interview. And I will tell you, even though myself being, a member of the court system of sorts, being a clerk to county and supreme, I'm a little hesitant having an index clerk who makes 18 something an hour doing an interview on, saying they've done an interview on that. So there are some questions on that still. But when it comes down to that list you have there, that is an approved list. It's not saying that they're the 16 and 2, 16 hours and 2 live fire hours courses. We do have a committee that's set up that's reviewing that of law enforcement, and then the judge has the final approval of that list as well. So I don't know if I convoluted it more for you, or I answered.
No, you shed some light on it, and I've asked them to follow up on their own this week and brief me at the end of the week to see what the final status is.
Well, let's talk offline. I hate to, I am very protective of all our pistol permit holders and anybody who submits on those applications. I won't put any certain information out that might, spark an interest that, people don't need to know. So let's talk offline about that. All right.
Anybody else have any questions for Terry? Okay, next up we have the Strategic Initiative Department.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have about 50 requests that have not been reviewed yet, about $3 million to disperse. We'll begin reviewing those this week and then hopefully finish those next week. And it's our hope to be able to bring all of those recommendations to you for the July schedule of committee meetings and action at the August committee, or perhaps I think we can make the July legislative meeting.
Anybody else have any questions for Dave?
We're also starting the process of meeting with towns and villages to understand better what their plans are, what their hopes are relative to the impacts from the Micron project, and then working to put together a plan to help those infrastructure and other related needs come together and find funding for them.
Okay, thank you. Next up we have real property.
So next month I'm going to have my annual report to give out to everybody, and then I'll talk about it next month. The reason I do that is because it follows the assessment calendar, which is July 1st to June 30th. So just look forward to that, or plan to skip the meeting, I guess. What I passed around was this changes to the senior citizens exemption that passed the state budget recently. This is going to affect us because we have, we offer this at the county level, right? The main thing that they changed was their definition of what is income. So previously they counted all sources of income. So if you got Social Security, you got dividends, you got anything, that was counted as income. Now they use the federal adjusted gross income and then add back in the things that are in this chart here. So the chart that's in the middle here, that second column says addition to FAGI. Those are the things that are either added or deducted from that number to come up with what the senior's income is. New York State believes this will be simpler for people to understand. It'll be interesting to see. It just may necessitate us amending our local law at some point to match this new definition. But there are a few other local options. Each of these is actually an option of whether or not you want to allow it to be deducted or added, and I can make some recommendations on that when the time comes. But this affects the 2024 assessment year, 2025 tax year though, so it's nothing that affects us immediately. It's just to be aware of that this has changed.
How will our seniors become aware of this?
In theory, the state will have to hopefully let them know, but I think they're going to rely on us to let them know. So that mailing that we did sounds like it's a permanent thing, and we're going to have to do the mailing every single year. So we may need to maybe try to fit this on there somehow to let them know that income calculations are different for the next year applications. So yeah, nice. What was it? $10,000 mailing every year. That'll be fun.
Are you gonna add that to the budget line?
I had a question about that mailing. I thought, why couldn't we come up with some kind of computer program to only send it to the aging population, for instance? Why did I get it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
so
such a waste of postage.
it is a waste of postage, and that's why this next year. So we weren't prepared for it. We just sent it to all properties that could be eligible, not necessarily owners, right? This next year, we're going to definitely work with Office for the Aging, of elections if I can, to try and narrow it down to not necessarily who we need to send it to, but who we definitely don't need to send it to. Definitely people that aren't 65. Yeah, just trying to save as much as we can on that, because that's it's an expensive mailing. They also, this is in talks. I don't know if it's where it's going to go with the state legislature, but they also want us to do a second mailing for the disabled exemption too, which I even have less of a clue of how to identify those folks. So
DSS might have a list.
that's true. Yeah, it's a good idea.
There's also mailing lists that you can purchase through independent contractors that do it for printing for different areas, and they break it down, so they're out there. So you can probably find one. I think PJ Green is one of them, in the Utica area. So they might go out there.
Yeah,
The Social Security Administration has a list. I don't know if I'll give it up, but
yeah, that's been the issue with that change that the state made. The state knows the seniors because they have that that income tax data, but they weren't allowed to share it. So we're hoping that they'll be able to create a, they can create a list for us to mail to. That would be great. We could just use that and not have to guess at it. But we'll have to see what they.
it would save us a lot of money.
It was.
It's crazy to send it out here.
I agree.
Would that fall under shared service discussion, Phil? Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you. Yep.
I do have a question. I guess this is a good time to say. Last month at the lit meeting, we pulled the local law to give fire and EMS tax credits. Pulled it for further discussion after the public hearing, when we had public opinion on the meeting. We haven't heard anything left after that. I don't see it on the agenda for this month to go through. Where we at with that?
We didn't put it on the agenda because we thought there would be some other changes. we can add it with the 2 years. The administrative process for the county exemption will have to remain the same or at the county level, not necessarily the same people. But we can either.
Well, when we went through caucus, there was no flavor to change it from 5 to 2, right? I think we all sat around. There was only a couple.
Okay, you want to keep it at 5, and then we can keep it as is. We could. It's been tabled at the legislature level, I believe. So just taking it off the table at the next meeting would be how you would adopt it. Was it tabled or referred back to committee?
I thought it was, thought after the public hearing was going to be changed to 2 years and also the other amendment about who's going to oversee it.
Yeah, Rich stated that what they want to propose was not good. And having the fire advisory board oversee it rather than.
Well, that's right, that's what's in there. I think that was what was listed in the law. There's one.
No, it was the fire, it was Shane Laws that was responsible.
The fire advisory board would not be administering the tax exemption for the county. They're only advisory. They don't have authority to act in that capacity. The question is, if it's kept at 5, I can check the minutes. I believe it was tabled. Just taking it off the table to vote it at the next meeting. Wouldn't have to go back through committee. If it was referred to committee, it will have to be sent back to the floor, but we can follow up on that.
Human research, that's on human research. So the veterans fall under human research, that's
Great.
Did you miss? I don't know what that one had.
You said veterans?
Yeah, you saying veterans?
Oh, you're talking about that.
We were talking about the firefighters exemption.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure when we had the caucus afterwards, the flavor was still for 5 years, right? I know. There was only 2 guys. We can have that conversation again. Well, we can have that conversation again. We confirm that. My recollection.
We can get it on the agenda. If it was tabled, you just take it off the table. If not, you can have a special meeting to bring it forward. Yeah, take it out of committee. We'll check that and see.
Just want to make sure it doesn't die, go away, right? We want to just make sure it comes back up. We do whatever it is that we're going to do. That's it.
Was that in public safety?
Government court.
Yeah.
Started out in public safety because the volunteer fire call came to us. But it's
Phil's going to check, see what we have to do.
Because we hadn't, after the public hearing, we hadn't discussed that.
Of course, do you remember if that was tabled? Do you remember if that was tabled?
Let's look at
So they just, all they have to do is vote to take it off the table at the meeting. So, I don't know, they might have to go back. So, unless they're changing it.
Well, there was one public comment.
Yes.
That's the only thing that's 2 and 5.
What about my suggestion? That worked out well.
Well, obviously.
We're going to do it.
I think Phil went to do something there.
Well, if you want, Chairman, I just want to tell you the auction will still occur on Friday, the foreclosure auction. Brochures, for some reason, should be at your towns and today, you have them downstairs. Really, it's kind of a nuisance now because everything's online, so. Huh?
It ends or starts.
It starts Friday. It really, the ends, starts and ends Friday.
Also one day.
1 day thing, 2 hours. So, we'll see how it goes. With the new foreclosure law, we don't know, we're just gonna sell them, see what happens. 1 minute. But again, you got paid taxes.
According to the draft minutes of the legislative meeting, GC 3, I think it was pulled. There was no vote to table or send back to the committee. So that would necessitate additional action by this committee to put it back on.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's any urgency on this. Nothing's going to change until next year, so I think that was the issue. So we can talk about it in caucus and come up with a solution. Bring it out next month if you want. Okay, sounds good. Fair enough.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have the Board of Elections.
Thank you.
We were looking to give our workers a raise. I have people there that have been there for 14 years since the new machines, since the voting machines came on. They've never asked for a raise. They work every aspect of the Board of Elections during an election. They deliver machines, they test the machines, they audit the machines, they work with the poll pads to get them out. They drive trucks, and they've never asked for anything. But right now, they're making, that group of people is making $15 an hour, and that's what they've had for 15 years. So I would like to put them to 20. I would also like to put the 2 technicians, they're at 18. They oversee everything in the warehouse. They make sure that the trucks are loaded right. They make sure everything is on the trucks. And they make sure everything is programmed and everything is sent to the state that is, that is required from us. They get 18. I'd like to put them to 23. It's a $5 raise for each of them. And then we have the truck drivers. There's 12 of them. Some of those truck drivers are already in the other, so it would just be the few that are left that have not had anything either. They get $12 an hour, and I'd like to put them to 17.
So 17.
Yes, it would be $5 for each of them.
Okay. How many people are we talking about?
There's probably, probably like less than 20. They work approximately 3 to 4 weeks per election.
Right.
This year there was only 2. Next year there'll be 3. We also have our van money that we had. We sold our van, and we kind of like to put that in and give this to them this year to up them to that raise, and then next year it would be in the budget. And I know we hit you hard all the time, but these guys, they've gone unnoticed for a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Do we have a total dollar?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah, because you need a budget bond and all that.
Right,
to
right.
do it. So you're just asking
We're asking
conceptually to
permission.
bring it next month for formal?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
For formal resolution next week.
Yep, and we have all the amounts.
Okay, would that include the poll inspectors?
Poll inspectors, they went up to $200 2 years ago. They're talking in the state level that we put them to 3. So they're being taken care of already. They're 200, right? Yes, 200. They get 200.
We were the lowest.
But, yeah. So these guys have just been forgotten.
Anybody else have any questions?
Are the ballots ready for the primary?
Yes, they are.
Should I tell them about the grants?
Yes.
They rolled over at the state level 2 of our grant balances and added additional. So we've received another almost $90,000 in the tier grant, the technology, innovation, whatever, election, whatever. And then they also gave us another $15,000 for postage, speaking of postage. But so we went from having we had 6 cents in one grant line, and now we've gone back up to over $100,000 in grants. So the contracts are out for Jim to sign and have notarized, Jim Leatherup, and give that to us. And so we'll be doing something to accept those monies into the lines are already there, so they don't have to be created. So. And I know Greg Powell has been asking us if we have any money. He has some security upgrades for some stuff for us, and there's other people as well. So that should help.
We got noticed on Friday that we have to pay to integrate our our election results Dominion won't play with any of the other companies, so we have to pay a company to be able to put everything, because we have the absentees, we have the election day and early voting numbers that all have to be put together, and that is going to be $12,000 this year that we didn't know about until Friday. That should be able to come out of the grant.
Yeah,
so,
tier grant.
And after we get the new machines, everything will be
For 5 years.
everything will work together, so we won't have to pay that. But the state picked it up for 2 elections, and now it's ours.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, you have a data estimate when the new machines will be in?
We'll be the first to know. They're close. They're close. Yeah, they keep talking to us. They're close. Just waiting for the state to sign off. We are planning on using them for the November election.
We're actually holding off on training some of our machine inspectors and poll workers until later on this summer, hoping that the timing works out. It was supposed to be May 15th, so here we all
I
are.
said not to say that.
Oh.
Caught you chicken before you hatched.
So,
We're moving forward.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, if not, we have the executive session.
thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd ask for an executive session regarding proposed or pending or current litigation involving Manzi versus Oswego County, Addis ethanol tax foreclosure, and the Oswego Steam Station tax certiorari.
I'll make that motion.
Hello.